Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit that notification bell, get all the updates. Like I said for today's video, the beer's courtesy of Alex. Thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate it, and you know how much I really do appreciate this. So I've been lucky enough to try two Free Will, and both were really good. Especially this one. It's over here because it's a contender for top beers of the year. Nocino. I'm probably mispronouncing it. And after I reviewed that, few people reached out. They're like, Ralphius, like, you like that, like, this is the one. And best I can tell, they do a lot of different I said variations, but I guess that works. I was gonna say variants, or that's what I meant to say, of this beer. This one is aged for 2 years in Willet barrels, so it's also just, I like their labels. I'm a big dog guy, so I'm an easy sell on this. So yeah, 2-year Willet Bourbon Barrel Aged Ralphius Imperial Stout, aged 2 years in a Willet Bourbon Whiskey barrel. 15.8% ABV, and I think it's just over. Yeah, it's 375 milliliter bottle, so just over. It's 12.7 fluid ounces. So I also love the format of this, bigger alcohol beer, but not a bigger format also. So like, yeah, just, it sounds up my alley, and it's definitely my preferred size for a beer this big. So yeah, I'm super stoked. In 2 years, in the barrel is really rad. That pours out like a big Imperial Stout. That's, yeah, there's, a little bit of brown, when it was thin as I was pouring it, like the pour itself was thin, won't quite fit. It's mostly motor oil looking, but there was a little bit of brown. That head is, I'd say dark, mocha for me. Not much of it at this point. Definitely some legs. Lacing does not stick around. Yeah, it's very much black with a little bit of brown mixed in once it's in the glass like that. But yeah, again, just like when I was pouring it, it looks like a big stout for sure. Let's get into the aroma. Oh man, that smells phenomenal. So much chocolate. Just huge chocolate. I get chocolate bar specifically, probably like a Hershey's Special Dark, still some sweetness to it, but getting into that dark chocolate realm. Caramel too, there's different chocolate notes, just like some brownie too, but that caramel is pretty dominant. I do smell some of the actual booze, which is nice. Had some beers recently that were barrel aged that didn't really have a lot of, like, spirit barrel aged. They didn't have a lot of the spirit part, so I really appreciate that this actually does have spirit. And then I go back to just the again, like the chocolate is both its own thing, and then it really mixes with the caramel, like in like a Rolos or whatever kind of way. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of like what is that? Like decadent fruitiness with like some berry. But yeah, it's so many different, the like trifecta of it, the big things in it is that chocolate and all those different ways, that caramel, and then the spirit working with it. So like it very much has the essence of big stout aged in barrels. I would have thought a little bit more oak because of the 2 years, but I'm okay with it because I'm getting so much of the spirit in the aroma, at least. And then, yeah, you do get a little bit of vanilla. Yeah, there is more going. I'm making it sound like there's not a lot going on, but again, it's because there's like 8 different chocolate that you get. Also, Hershey's syrup for sure. That special dark chocolate, bar chocolate, brownie thing. So I guess 3 different ones I'm coming up with. I exaggerated a little bit. Also, just smells fantastic. Like it definitely smells how I like this style to smell, or one of the ways I like this style to smell. Also, well done with the 2 years that it's not overly like spirit or overly oak. I just really want to try it at this point. Like I could keep smelling and find new things, but I really want to try it. So cheers. Thanks again, Alex. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Wow. So it's, and this is good. I'm glad that the taste is following something from the nose. I never mentioned roast. You know, some notes of dark chocolate, which can be roasty, obviously. The taste really affirms the fact that I didn't get a lot of roast in the aroma. It's a relatively sweet stout. Certainly not cloying. And wouldn't go as far as dessert either. You know, maybe you like a pastry stout or whatever, but sometimes that's too much for you, and you want the, you know, what I call like an adult dessert, or you know, a more refined dessert. This is kind of like that level of sweetness. You get definitely those chocolate notes, and again, in several different ways. You get that caramel, you get the spirit. There is a little bit of a, here's a new one for me, almost like a sweet oak, not like candied oak, but it's not a thing I like. There's nothing that exists, at least that I know of, that like maple, I know can have a little bit of sweetness, like maple barrels, or maple wood specifically. I don't know that about oak, but it has like a little bit of, you know, like sweetness, like wood plus sweetness to it. But anyway, man, that aroma, good viscosity too in terms of like body and mouthfeel. It's not, you know, I threw out that term motor oil. It's not that, it's not straight syrup, but it's definitely on the path towards that. I mean, it's definitely there. It's not thin. It coats well. It lingers for a while in a very good way. The aftertaste, including as I'm talking now, oak. So it's kind of like finishing maybe with some oak. I'll have to go in and see if I get how much oak I get in the finish, like when they're still liquid in my mouth. But definitely, like in terms of like the long flavors that are still there, oak is one of them, which is interesting. But again, it's not surprising because of the 2 years, but because I'm not getting a ton of oak in the rest of the experience, I do find that interesting to note anyway. Yeah, like if you made brownies and you're like, that's not chocolatey enough, and you got out like the Hershey's chocolate syrup and you just like covered it, and then you're like, that's not enough, and maybe put some like chocolate frosting on it. And then there is, and again, going back to this like adult chocolate dessert, I think a little bit of the booze helps. I think the 2 years helps, where it doesn't get overly sweet. There's, it's not spicy like a rye barrel or something, but there is, I think it's the barrel, could be the hops, I guess, when I think about it, fighting through. But there is like a little extra layer. I'll leave it at that. Maybe I'll come up with something better, but like a little extra layer that's not quite spicy, but like if you're making this chocolate dish and again, it does not taste like it has this, but you add like some cayenne pepper or something. Now, if you add a lot, you'll get that, and that can work really well. I like you know, Mexican style chocolate. I love that style. Love that. Not just in beer form. Like I actually had one the other day at a farmer's market, but like you can add a little bit where it just kind of like emphasizes the chocolate, or like sometimes like coffee can like emphasize the chocolate. It's kind of more that thing is what I mean, than like rye spiciness or actual spices being added. And I tell you what, if I'll be completely honest too, and this probably won't be surprising if you've been watching this review, if I had gotten this blind, I would probably think this had chocolate, cacao nibs, something added to it. Like it really is that chocolatey. And yeah, that bourbon, I haven't had many of them in my life. Actually, maybe only one now I think about it. Maybe I should make one. But like those like adult milkshakes where they'll put like a shot of whiskey in it. Not that this tastes like it has a shot added to it, but like, yeah, like a nice chocolate ice cream, a little bit of that Hershey's chocolate syrup. Can't forget that with this beer. But yeah, like with some of that whiskey, like it just, you can see why that's a thing and exists. And same thing with these kinds of beers. It just works really well. You do get a little bit of that vanilla coming through. A little bit of coconut too. I should mention that, which makes sense because it had so much barrel aging that it could draw out a lot of things from the barrel, but that is one of the things it could draw out. Sorry, I'm just like geeking out over how much I love this beer. And yeah, that berry thing I got a little bit in the aroma. I think that's what I was talking about. It's been like such... I feel like this is a long review. I've been talking for so long I might be getting some of my thoughts mixed up. But yeah, it definitely has a nice... like blueberry compote kind of a thing to it, but again, mixed in with all the chocolate, the waves of chocolate, the caramel note, the bourbon note, and again, the viscosity, like it just hits really well, and the fact that it coats so well, and I love chocolate so much, and the fact that this is giving me that much chocolate and doesn't have chocolate added is kind of blowing my mind. I could keep going. I'm going to wrap it up just for time, but like, yeah, this is phenomenal. I don't know which one I like better, if I'm being honest. With the Nocino, that one had a bunch of adjuncts, and part of what I liked so much about it was how they worked so well, didn't overpower, it was just really well done and balanced that way. Whereas this one, and not that one wasn't geared like this beer is like, get out of my head. How about that? Does that make sense? This beer is like how did you know to deliver almost exactly what I want? Like, it's weird that way. Whereas that one, not how I would have necessarily thought to make a beer, although having had beers similar, but then impressed me so much. This beer can only disappoint me or be what I want it to be, and this is just definitely exactly what I want it to be, whereas that one had to work for it to be as impressive, if that makes sense. But anyway, so good. It's so good, Alex. Thank you so much for sending it again. I really appreciate it. Have you guys had this beer before? Have you had a really good beer that was barrel-aged, maybe even had Weller specifically? Have you had anything else from Free Will you want to talk about? Have you had any other variants of their Ralphius? Or you just want to talk about something else? Comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check them out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both those places. So always please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.